There we go. All right. Let's try it again. Take two. Hey.
Okay.
Are we even?
Let me see. Okay.
There we are. All right. Take two. Technical difficulties. It turned this for some reason. So we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back. Terry and Olivia, West Tennessee K9. We're going to answer some questions. The way this works, people submit their questions ahead of time. I posted it last week. It's about Tuesday or Wednesday. We got a lot of questions about dogs, dog training, dog behavior. We just finished a Skype session with some folks in, I think, Ohio. So we do a lot of stuff via cell phone. Mm-hmm. Amazing technology. So it doesn't mean that it means you don't have to be like right here for us to help you. All of our Q&A stuff is free. We have all kinds of free content on YouTube, our Facebook content, a lot of stuff. So we're going to get to that in just a minute, the boxer question.
Okay. Hi, Miss Donna.
So I pulled a few questions. We're going to try to make this about 40 minutes. We have 3 or 4 questions, and I can talk for 2 hours. So I have to watch my clock because I'll just keep talking and she'll keep smiling.
Okay. So Melissa says, I need help with Mugsy and barking.
Okay.
My husband has 2 older labs and golden mutts, and her husband cannot stand barking, and it's causing relationship problems. She's tried the prong collar with place, e-collar, positive reinforcement, but nothing's helping consistently. Any suggestions? Because it's coming between people.
Yeah. If you think children test your relationship, wait till you get a dog that tests your relationship, especially a dog that you do not want. Happens. So I think I've worked with one of her dogs before. So she understands the prong collar. She talked about the prong collar, the e-collar,
place,
positive reinforcement. We'll start with positive reinforcement. Doesn't work. Dog barks. You say, hey, instead of barking, here's some food. The dog says, wait, you're giving me food for barking?
right?
So that's how that works. Oh, wait, I should bark some more. Oh, don't bark. Here's some food for barking. Oh, I should bark because you're giving me food. And it's just a continuous cycle. So that doesn't work. It has to be a punisher involved. Now, some dogs are yippy dogs. Some dogs just bark, bark, bark. But it is a correctable behavior. The thing is, whatever consequence you use, there has to be a consequence for the barking, whether it be a bark collar or a shot collar, or if you're using a prong collar, or whatever, a can full of pennies, whatever the punisher is for that dog to say, oh, I should stop doing that because this isn't pleasant. The kennel dogs, to keep them from barking, we're aboard. They're all barking, and all of them, I'm not training, some of them are just boarding. They're barking, barking, barking. Our building is concrete block. And so you're taller than me now.
Oh, sorry.
You're taller than me anyway. Making me look like a slouch. And so to get them to stop barking, I take a metal bowl and I chunk it down the middle of the aisle. And it's like clang, 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 clang everywhere. And dogs are like, oh my gosh, what's that? And that's all it takes to get the new dogs to stop barking. So
It interrupts.
It interrupts and also punishes because they don't like that noise. So like, wait a minute, every time I bark, I'm going to hear that clang, 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 clang. As a matter of fact,
every
time you bark, you're going to hear that clang, 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 clang. I'm just not going to bark. So to stop the barking, there has to be an interrupter. There has to be a punisher that the dog cares about. What happens is a lot of times we underwhelm our dogs. So we use vibrate collars, we use bark collars. And if I'm home, I don't like using a bark collar because you're not unsure the level. A lot of them will increase levels as the dog barks more. So I would rather use just a regular e-collar where I can control it. But it has to matter to the dog. So right now the dog hears something over and over again. Oh, this is enjoyable. Endorphins are up, like, hey, good times. Then it becomes a learned behavior, and that's barking at the TV, barking at everything. What I'm saying
barking at wind.
Barking at wind, or the thought of wind. and so what I'm going to tell the dog is really quickly, I'm not going to start on the e-collar low. E-collar is the best thing to stop barking. Make sure when you use one, and you get one, you get a good one. E-collar technologies. I use the Mini Educator. Dogtra. Garmin has some good ones. Make sure it's a good quality e-collar so you know the level of stem that you're giving the dog is super accurate. And so I don't start like on one. I just go, boop, I turn the thing up. Dog barks, bump. Dog's like, wow, that wasn't nice. That was not pleasant. So dog barks again. Whoa, again. Really quickly, the dog will start to associate that stem, the burp on his neck, to the barking. Dogs learn absolutely everything by association. There is nothing that a dog learns that isn't by association. Naturally, their basic drives are to seek food, a mate, and shelter. And we fix them, feed them, and house them. So everything else is just a good time at our expense and our nerves. Definitely something you can fix. Definitely something that's not super hard to work on. You just have to be consistent, and you have to correct on a level that matters to the dog.
All right.
Anything, Dad? Have you ever had a chronically barking dog?
Yes.
Oh, this weekend. Yeah, so we were out of town this weekend. Well, not a couple days, and this dog was out back. We had no control over, barked. The night we had to drive back the next morning. It was not pleasant.
I wanted to not be nice to the dog.
No matter where you were in the house, you could hear the dog.
Just at random, right as soon as you fall asleep.
Yeah, long night.
So, okay, so
This one's kind of
thank
long.
you for your question, Melissa.
Yes.
Raven.
Let's answer her question real quick.
Okay, Miss Donna.
How do you stop boxers from jumping on people?
And I don't think it has to be boxers. It could be a lab. It could be a labradoodle.
Yeah, jumping is probably the highest on the list of offenses that I get calls and questions about. So, jumping is super easy to fix. What we do with dogs when they jump, back up. Dogs learn to jump to get attention, to get things. Your dog did not come out of the womb jumping. No, it didn't. But it learned very quickly, if I jump on my litter mates, I can push them out of the way to get food. If I jump on mom, hey, I get her attention. She may lick me. Hey, you human, wait, if I jump on you, you'll pick me up. And they're learning this as little puppies.
Right.
Then you come to pick the puppy, like, oh, I like that puppy. Why do you like that puppy? Because it ran to me.
And jumped
on me, and you pick it up. Then you take the dog home, and it's so cute, and jumps up on your leg, and you're like, hey, puppy. So you're saying, hey, you jump on me, and you get affection. I pick you up. The problem comes in when that little puppy is like an 80-pound boxer or a 100-pound Doberman. Then really quickly,
140-pound Great Dane.
Yeah, really quickly, that is not cute anymore.
It's not
super
fun.
hard to stop. So the dog associated jumping with something positive. You have to associate jumping with something negative. Okay, a lot of things could be negative to a dog. We talked about the bowl just a minute ago. Loud noises. The best way to do it, quite honestly, leash and prong, leash and slip lead. I don't care what shoes around the dog's neck, but set the dog up. Have the dog on a leash. Somebody's like, hey, dog. And he's like, oh, I'm going to jump on you. And you just wham. And so that dog jumps. Don't say no. Don't say anything. Just that hard, quick correction. Dog's like, burp. It's probably not the best idea. The dog will go to jump again. Burp. Doesn't, it's a good level of starting. So I'm reading questions that come out, trying to get everybody's. If the questions come up on the screen, I'm going to try to get those before the pre-asked questions. So, you just need to teach that dog, like, hey, if you jump, it's going to suck for you. It used to be good, but now it's going to be bad. If the dog's e-collar trained, you can use the e-collar along with the leash to help with that. But if you can use just the leash and collar, leash and slip lead, leash and prong to say, and I want you to, that dog jumps, and just to the backwards and to the side, just wham, yank the dog.
You can also have a friend help.
Yeah, it's good, and set the dog up. And so what you'll find out is like, okay, mom and dad are doing it. Now dog won't jump on mom and dad, but kids come in the room. Like, hey, I remember you, I can jump on you. Then guests come in, oh, I remember you, I can jump on you. So in order to really make sure the dog understands no jumping, you have to run it through scenarios to make it feel. Again, in the beginning, dogs associated jumping with something positive, attention. Now, the dogs have to associate jumping with something that's uncomfortable. You've heard knee to the chest. I mean, that works, but you have to hit them in the chest so hard they go flying backwards. I don't recommend that because if the dog goes backwards, hits his head, whatever else, you have no control over where that dog's going. With the leash, you have
control.
You have control. You know how hard you're pulling, and it's not a tug. What you're trying to do is a quick snap, and so the dog's like going this way, now going this way, going this way,
Not
now
this,
going
but
this way.
that.
Yeah, not this, but over here. So that's the best way to fix jumping. So what is a good level for starting?
I'm the question reader.
I know, but I want to see that. Go ahead.
I'm the question reader.
I need more information.
Okay, what is a good level for starting a 6-month-old, 43-pound puppy? Like 6 months old, as in starting training.
Or starting with e-collar.
Right, Jimmy, chime in if you can. Give us a little more
What exactly are you wanting to start at?
level of
6
just
months and 43
regular
pounds?
training. But that's a good question.
All right, next question.
Okay. Okay, so my Samoyed, which I didn't know.
I had to look that up.
I had to look that up.
It's a white fluffy dog.
It is a fluffy dog. Will be 2 in December. Around 6 months, he started showing some light aggressive behavior, but we assumed it was through adolescence, and we tried to punish him appropriately and accordingly. He has gotten worse since then, and we don't know what to do. We haven't had the money to train until recently, and we're desperate. Today I took him to the park and he nipped at a kid and she started crying. I was so afraid of what the mother would say because I fear she would have put him down or try and sue, you know how people are. Luckily, she just told us to leave. It's extremely embarrassing. Even in the car, he acts like a lunatic and has even cracked our windshield trying to get to people outside. His in the car behavior is by far the worst. He barks and claws at the windows even if the person is far away or in another vehicle. He's fine around the family and even my little sister who's 9, but he acts insane to any dogs or people he doesn't know, even children. I've taken him to off-leash dog parks like Shelby Farms and he's fine there except when any dogs come near me. Then he gets in between us and even attacks them.
Wow.
Help.
Yeah, so that's a big, long, complex question. I'll try to break it down to a few smaller questions.
Let's break it down now.
For one, not having money to train.
Okay.
It's a huge problem. Like dog training is a luxury and it's not cheap. Completely get it. Most of the people that send me information, even when they're asking for prices or whatever else, I would probably say only 10 to 15% of them actually get dog training. However, I answer all the questions.
Sure.
There's so much good information. You can go to our YouTube page. If I don't have something on my page that you want, gosh, send me a little email and I will send you links to people's stuff. I know a lot of good trainers. So there's all kinds of free information for you to work with and train your own dog.
Not only on YouTube, but on your Facebook page.
My Facebook page, follow it because almost all the problems that you're having with the dogs, I try to break them down, answer them, show you exactly what I'm doing.
Because you're not alone.
I'm not alone. Oh, they're not alone?
They're not alone.
And I'm not alone. I've had some bad dogs too. And it's just like, before I was a full-time trainer, behavior person, you know, I was like, wow, this dog is going to like be the end of me or I'm going to be the end of it.
All right, what part do you want to attempt next?
Make sure you don't
Go ahead.
make sure that you don't wait till you have money to get training help. It's out there. There's so much help there for you, and it's absolutely not as hard as you think. Dog training is made out to be way, way harder than it is. There is a process. Some people like me and you and some trainers and even some individuals are just naturally good at it. It comes easy, but there is a process. It's an ABCD. So don't think that just because you've never trained a dog before that you can't do it. I just want to encourage you in that. So the aggressive behavior, guarding behavior, I would consider this guarding at this point. Just I'd have to talk to her a little more, but say guarding aggressive behavior.
She's guarding them.
Guarding, yeah, and that's super common. I didn't look at the history of the dog
Or he is guarding.
what the dog was originally bred for. Doesn't really matter. So the dog is saying, "Hey, I need to keep you away from mom. I need to bark at you. I need to chase you down. I need to react at the end of a leash." Why doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter if the dog's trying to kill the other dog. Doesn't matter if he's trying to. Some dogs get off the leash and want to go play with the other dogs. It just is a big brouhaha. I'm not going to find out.
Right.
What I'm going to do is stop the behavior. So at this point, the dog is saying, did she say how old the dog was?
He'll be 2 in
So
December.
he'll be 2. So he's coming into maturity. He's like going to bow up. It's like, ha, I'm the man.
He's a 19-year-old that knows it all.
Yeah, What? A 19-year-old knows it all. Do you know anything about that? You do. So a dog's like, my space, my people, you should leave. And dogs tell us that by how?
By barking.
By barking and coming after us and lunging. The bottom line is you have to stop the behavior. At this point, it's an adrenaline rush. Endorphins are up. The dog is like, I'm going to go after this dog. I'm going to show out for mom. And actually, on the end of the leash, this is where the dog's most brave because you have its back. Like, I know mom's back there, so we're good. You think it's like out there trying to be like big and bad, but really it's saying they're back there and
They're back there
and I'm okay. So you're going to have a consequence for this behavior. And the consequence has to be, this has to suck for you. Like you going toward this dog
or a kid
has to suck. It has to be something that you're not going to do. So short answer is find some type of punisher, some type of consequence, prong collar, e-collar to stop that behavior. However, if you have a dog that is lunging and going after other dogs and other people, if you just strap an e-collar to the dog's neck or a prong collar and that dog gets amped up and you start punishing then and start correcting then, that discomfort and pain and uncomfortable feeling, whatever you want to call on the dog's neck, most of the time it's going to kick that dog into overdrive. It's going to say, I came at you and now I'm uncomfortable. So who's causing it?
Right.
You. So there's a lot of pre-work involved. You can't just go straight to punishing dogs like that. You can, if you know what a bonker is a rolled up towel. You can use that. We'll get into that maybe later. But first, teach the dog some obedience. Teach the dog what a proper correction is.
The communication between the leash.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about that. Communication between the leash. Teach the dog what, Larry Crone, excellent trainer. So teach the dog what a proper correction is. Teaching a dog what a correction is no different than teaching a dog to sit or to down. If I'm going to use the e-collar for behavior modification, the dog has to understand what that e-collar means ahead of time. So that the e-collar means is a way I'm communicating with you. Hey, knock it off in a soft voice, and when the level goes up, now I'm saying knock it off in a louder voice. So what I don't want anybody to do is just start punishing away dogs. Just like, okay, yeah, dog's barking at that dog, because most of the time what's going to happen, instead of the dog coming this way saying I shouldn't do that, the dog's going to go straight after the other dog or person. There are actually folks that use e-collars to build drive. I just saw a whole seminar on it. I was like, wow, that's cool. So a lot of some working dogs to build bite drive, they're using e-collars. So it can work the opposite. Make sure the dog understands what a proper correction is. And then what you need to do is start looking for the loading phase. So dogs very rarely go into just something or nothing to something. There is a loading phase. Even if it's in your neighborhood, you're walking the same route and the dog's walking along, says, oh, wait, about here's where I start to hear the other dogs. Here's where I see the other dogs. And now it's on. So if you have a place in your neighborhood where your dog starts to kind of get alerted, like, hey, the fight's coming on, start right there.
That means you have to watch your dog. Pay attention to your dog.
You have to really pay attention to your dog and try to catch it. If you can catch it at that loading phase where those ears go up and the dog's like scanning, like, okay, what am I going after? Correct then, okay? So the aggression to the windshield. Hope that answered the question about
the barking.
You have anything else for the walking and barking as far as?
No, it all goes back to the basics of watching your dog, because like you said, it's not when it's already here. You got to correct it here so it doesn't get to there. And it starts with the leash, and it knows what no means.
Yeah, no needs to be the biggest word in your vocabulary when you're training dogs. No means stop doing what you're doing. Because if you keep doing what you're doing, and you know better, I'm going to correct you. It's not going to be pleasant for you.
Well, and I know a lot of people, and I don't know if this particular case, but sometimes when our dogs bark at the front door, and I've been guilty of it, the dogs bark at the front door and you're petting them going, no, stop, no,
Yeah.
stop, no, stop.
it's
But all
okay.
you're doing is giving them affection.
Yeah. Hopefully I haven't
and-
been guilty of it like lately.
Not lately.
That would make me
but
kind of suck as a
no,
trainer.
not lately, but I have in the past, you know, but that's reinforcing that behavior. So we need to watch what we're doing too.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times what I'll see is the dogs are acting up, and especially like drop-offs a lot. The dogs are like, oh, wow, even if they're trying to like take my
No,
face
stop.
off, it's a stop. And then this negotiation process starts happening. There is no negotiation. It's my rules. Like, you know, we don't. My way or the highway. There's no rules here. The best thing to do in that situation is don't talk to your dog. Just let the leash do the talking. The leash needs to be your form of communication. The e-collar, when the dogs are barking at 10 million decibels, even if it's not your dog can't hear you anyway. If you've ever been involved in a dog fight, it's loud. And like your dogs can't hear you. And your yelling only amplifies things. That's a super good point. The dog needs to understand that leash communication, super important. So
You were talking about the car.
yeah, and the car is the next point. So our dogs have your other car, the whole back thing. We made the mistake of trusting someone we didn't know to train vehicle security. This is before I knew any better. This was some years ago. And so what they did is they put the dog in the car and they teased it from the outside. And decoys, they tease the dogs. That's kind of what they do. But like, we have 2 Dobermans in her car, in her Pilot, and they're going from the front seat to the back seat, slamming into the window.
The back part of
The back part of the console, like where the cup holder, it was just destroyed.
Yay.
Yeah, and I didn't know any better at the time. Like I just kind of started seeing this whole thing. It was some years ago, but it really screwed the dogs up. And one of our dogs went through my back Jeep window. What else have our personal dogs done? Trying to go after other people.
They scare off the people in the corner.
They do. My first Doberman, like years and years ago, I thought it was cute when she went to the door and slammed herself into the door, like after people. When she got old, I had to replace the door. Wasn't so cute anymore. So, been there. Dogs usually will protect the vehicle, protect their house, be protective of it. They become super brave. There's something in between them. It's their property. It's a guarding behavior. So just like on the walks, on the
Around the
drive,
neighborhoods and stuff.
well, on the drive, teach your dogs down. So even when I have dogs that are like get super car sick or super nervous in cars, we learn down in the house, and then when they go into the car, down.
We learn down in the car and
They're
practice
They're
it.
not looking around. The next word they need to know, no. Dog starts to look up, somebody comes, no. If you're not using an e-collar, leash, prong on the dog. Dog goes to get up, going after somebody, no. You know, just like...
And just like going back to the boxer where you set up, you can set up the dog.
That's where I was going.
Oh
Oh
my gosh.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can, it's a practice learned behavior.
Yeah, so have people approach your car with you in the car. Preferably don't have the leash in your hand, yanking it when you drive. It's not good. It's like trying to start a lawnmower driving down the road, you know. But do have people, even if a stranger say, hey, I'm working on my dog. Can you just walk up and look in my window? And that dog's like, no. Now, our dogs are protection dogs. They're very well trained. And if somebody walks up to the window and looks in and we're in there, they'll just look at them and look at me. Or
Like,
her.
what do you want us to do?
What do you want us to do? When they were younger, not the case. Somebody walked to the door and it's like, you know, you had to rein that in. Like, okay, Cujo, like we understand you're bad and all, but you're tearing my stuff up.
Right.
So don't do that until I tell you to do it. And sometimes when you have the weird people approach your car and you give the watch command and they jump up and start barking, you're like, oh my gosh, you know, it can be beneficial. I don't know these people, you know, so teach the dog down in the car. Work scenarios. Everything in dog training is scenarios. If you watch like the Schutzen, if you watch the police dog training, if you watch any of the working dog training, they're trying to recreate real life scenarios. Some of them are super extreme, some of them are just basic, but you have to practice real life scenarios. So what I tell people in training is, like, when your dog is learning place inside your house, you are rehearsing for when that person comes over. It's not that most dogs, when they're home with just their owners, they're pretty chill. But teaching the dog what place means, having somebody ring the doorbell, or if you're smart, like at the training center, we have a doorbell that's inside, ding, ding, ding. So I have it in my pocket ringing it. If you really wanted to work with your dog at home, you could take your little doorbell off and put it in your pocket, because most of them are wireless now.
But practice for when you need it.
Practice. So the car, on the walks, you're going to have to find scenarios to set this dog up in that are going to make it fail, so you can teach it how to do right, just like humans.
Good. I wonder if he ever got back.
I didn't see. See if you can.
I'm not touching it because it'll flip flop again.
Yeah, I never saw him get back. Somebody gave him a very good reference to a book.
Okay. Okay. So this is a question you get all the time.
All the time.
Do you potty train dogs?
No. We're listening. Someone heard your voice of his place. Oh, yeah. So when I think he's coming back soon. Diesel. So.
What's the first question you ask? If I ask you how do you potty train dogs, what's the first question you would ask me?
Usually, how old's your dog? Yeah. How old's your dog?
Survey says ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
Okay, so in this case, it's a 15 weeks, and it said the vet told her that this breed is hard to train.
So their dog is 15 weeks old, and the vet said that this particular breed is hard to potty train. Did I put the rest of the part on there, where it's like pooping everywhere?
I'm gonna try the kennel, but he poops and pees
So
in
read
it.
that part.
Okay, we track the kennel, but he poops and pees in it. We take him out 15 minutes after he eats and drinks and spend at least an hour outside with him, and he still comes in and potties in the house. He will even stop eating just to go poop somewhere in the house. Blech.
Yeah. So if your dog is eating and stopping from eating, is that right?
Stopping eating to poop.
Yeah. If he's going to stop eating to go poop.
Stop eating to poop. Yes.
Couple things. For one, make sure you're checking with your vet, because I'm not a vet and I'm not a nutritionist. I just have some basic dog
Know-how.
knowledge from potty training a gazillion dogs. Number two, make sure you're feeding it a decent food. I know in this case, they were feeding it a very, very poor quality food. If the food is not good going in, there's going to be a lot more coming out. Like if we eat good, healthy things, we don't poop as much. People. If we
eat chest cake and banana pudding and green bean casserole
and keep eating and all the stuff that's crap, what it ends up?
crap.
And so, same thing with your dogs. Make sure you're getting your dog a good food. There's a lot of people that feed it raw, swear by it. I tried it. It grossed me out. Couldn't do it. But I feed my dogs a good food. If I don't, like I fed Gypsy, I was out of food, remember the other night?
Yes.
And I just fed her some stuff I had that like a client left, and it was like, I don't even want to say the names, I don't want to down anybody, but it's just a grocery store food. What happened?
Crap.
For how long?
3 or 4 days.
3 or 4 days. She diarrheaed everywhere.
Crap.
Just from eating a part of one meal of some
crap
food that wasn't good. So it can mess them up for days. So make sure you're feeding your puppy a good food. What a good food is, totally up to you to research. I'm not even going to comment, because there's a lot of good ones. You don't have to buy the most expensive. You don't have to buy the cheapest, but just get something with a good protein source, not a whole lot of fillers. At this point, grain-free doesn't mean crap unless you're allergic to grain, and you have to get them tested for that. Secondly, there's a big thing going around right now. Okay, what's her name? Cisasia?
Chrysania.
We have a few more minutes. Go ahead, ask your question.
I have severely issued that needs help, but not even sure what to do or where to start.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit on here about your dog while we're talking. You don't have to write a book, just a few little short comments. So
this dog is eating, stopping and pooping, and coming back and eating.
So, thank you. You keep me on track so well. There's this big thing going around right now where everybody wants these big dogs, whether it's bullies or whatever their dog is, Dobermans, they want a huge dog. It's like, so what do? Instead of buying a genetically sound dog that has larger qualities. Mom, dad are big, so likely that the puppies are going to be big. They just think if they feed them more. Also, when people get large breed dogs, oh, this is a large breed dog, so I have to feed it more. It's not the case. The larger the breed, the slower you want it to grow. Make sure you talk to your vet. Make sure you look at the recommendations on the back of the food bag. Very important. Most important, talk to your vet. They will give you specific feeding instructions on how to feed your dog for the weight it should be, not the weight you think it should be.
Right.
Okay, based on the last time they weighed it, how much that breed grows. Your vet will walk you through it. If you have to write it down, do so. Super important. The large breed feed large breed puppy food, not just puppy food. So most people feed their dogs too much.
Yes.
If your puppies are pooping 12 times a day, you're either feeding them horrible food or feeding them too much, or both. Make sure you go by the recommended, what the bag recommends, not what you think they should be in 6 weeks. Your dog is not going to be 100 pounds at 4 months old. You know,
So it goes in, it's going to come
even
out.
if it's arborable, it's still not going to be 100 pounds at 4 months old. It's going to be, heavy, but it's not going to be ginormous.
I'm looking to see if I can't read more
Yeah.
of that question.
Um,
Hold on. I'm scared to scroll down.
Let's see.
Okay, hold on. All right, Cynthia, or
Scroll-
Chrysanthe-
So scroll
Chrysania.
back up a little bit to the bottom of that thought. Keep going.
I'm reading.
Don't even read that one.
Okay.
Go up. See
Alright.
if it's the same person.
Yes.
Go up one more. Oh, nope, not the same person.
Okay.
No, one more. Go up again. Is that the same person?
Yes.
Okay. So what's her name?
Chrysania.
Chrisania.
Did you
Something
read
I'm
them?
super horrible at is finding dogs' homes. If you want to work the dog through the aggression and through the problems, we can help you with that. But as far as finding dogs' homes, I've tried. I'm not good at it.
Not good at it. He's pack aggressive, food aggressive, attacks other animals and small children, and isn't good with farm animals.
Yeah, that's something we deal with all the time. But I don't. Rehoming dogs is not my gifting. Training them is.
Yeah.
So back to the puppies.
Hey, hello from Greece.
Oh, very
And
cool.
I don't know how to even begin to pronounce that name.
Neither do I.
Hello from
Those are
Greece.
letters I've never seen before.
Yeah, they're Greek. It's Greek to me.
It's all Greek to me.
Ah!
So, puppies. Make sure you're feeding them the right amount. The thing about potty training is pretty simple. It's getting the dog on a schedule. So, if you have a dog that's pooping all over the place, like we had a dog, Vader. She more had the dog than me. I bought the dog. She
I wanted the dog though.
yeah, tortured the dog tortured her. It was the dirtiest, poopingest dog I think I've ever owned. It was so hard to teach that dog not to go in the kennel. As a matter of fact, it would look at you, run to the kennel, and poop. It would come in, run to the kennel. It took a long time to break that dog from going in the kennel. But we did.
We did.
We did. She did. Let me take that back. She did. So with potty training, it's all about scheduling. So if you have a dog that's pooping a lot, the first thing I do personally, like even when puppies come in for training, I like skip a meal because their digestive systems are really fast. So I skip a meal, make sure they're cleaned out, they've gone to the bathroom. You know, when little puppies come in, they usually go to the bathroom in their run a couple of times until I can get them on schedule. And then after that, they never do again. So feed the dog, make note of what time you fed the dog.
And how much?
And start taking it out right after and about every 5 minutes. When you take the dog out, make sure the dog's on the leash or the dog will go out and play. And so you may have your dog outside for an hour and the dog was like, hey, I'm more concerned about playing than I am going to the bathroom. So make sure the dog is on a leash. And like our dogs go on command, all I have to do is say go potty or go poop. If I say go potty, they pee. If I say go poop, they poop. This was just because when they were puppies, that's what we did. Go potty, go potty. Okay, now go poop, go poop. Rambler, the male, oh my gosh, that dog would take forever. I'm like, dude, just go to the bathroom. It's been like a half hour. But if you bring them back in, don't let them run around.
Put him in the kennel.
Put them in the kennel. watch them, because you can tell usually if they're starting to circle and you're like, no, and you grab them, and you have to carry them outside, put them on a leash, put them down. They use the bathroom, a lot of praise. Put them back in their kennel, put them in the kennel for 5 minutes. Make sure you set a timer so you don't forget about them, and then do the ritual again. Keep doing that over and over. A few minutes outside, a few minutes in their kennel until they go. I don't even care if they go in their kennel at this point. What I'm trying to see is, okay, I fed you at 2 o'clock. You went to the bathroom at 2:09. Or you went to the bathroom at 2:42. Okay, and so the clock's still ticking. So they're playing, and wait a minute, they pooped again. So I'm going to say, okay, they went this. There's some dogs that go more than once after they go to the bathroom. So you start to, my point is, once you start to kind of write it down, you'll see a pattern. Like, I go to the bathroom at about the same time every day.
That's great.
Most people do. Most people, like, okay, I'm either a morning pooper or evening pooper, or can't poop it in public.
Wouldn't you like to be a pooper too?
To be a pooper. And so some people can't poop in public. I mean, there's all of these pooping rules for people.
Right. My dogs here, I feed them, they immediately go out and poop.
Right. I have 2 that Rambler and Layla go out and poop. Gypsy will wait till the next morning.
Right.
She's just too good for everybody. So, gosh, you got me distracted. Not really.
Sorry. Poop.
Poop.
It always comes back to poop.
Always comes back to poop. So you'll start to see a timeline. You'll start to say, okay, I'm seeing how this goes. And you'll be able to adjust the amounts of food. Maybe you feed the dogs, if you're feeding the puppy 3 times a day, which you should as a young puppy, maybe you feed them 2 smaller meals during the day, and then a bigger one at night. So when you're home, to let them out longer. But you can start to adjust their schedule. Like I said, once they get to the training center, they'll have a couple accidents, but after that, their schedule is like, okay, this their schedule, because we write it down on the kennel. There's a card, and we keep track of when they go to the bathroom, how much they eat when they go to the bathroom.
Scheduling is your friend.
Scheduling, it's all about scheduling. But you also have to remember they're like teeny puppies. They're infants. So are they going to have accidents? Are they going to like not go outside and come in and go? Yeah. Next tip, when they're inside, even after they've gone to the bathroom, like, don't let them run in your house. Don't even section them off in the kitchen. Leash. The dog goes to poop. You can say, nope. Go outside. It may get a little turd out or something, but you're like, nope, I'm going outside. So
I mean, it's kind of like potty training kids. If you have kids,
and you're like, no.
Right. And you make them sit on the potty. And as a parent, it's mind numbing.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, go to the bathroom.
But what do you do when they go? Like,
yay! I mean, you bribe the crap out of them.
Yeah, he's like,
literally.
okay, well, that's good. You said
Sorry.
bribe the crap. Yeah, just got your head cut off. I don't like that. There we go. Hey, there you are.
But yeah, so
I think I overdid it. There we go. So yeah, with your dogs, like, they go to the bathroom. If you want to, like, very small treat, don't give them like enough treat for the poop. But if you want to reward. But make it a big deal. Make sure you're saying, go potty or go to the bathroom, or
outside is a good thing.
Yeah, so they start to understand, like, oh, that's what that means. It's just like teaching them anything else. Like we said, our dogs will poop and pee on command. So if I take them outside and say, go potty, if we're in your house and I tell them to go potty and point to your bookcase, my male's going to walk over and pee on your bookcase. That means I told you to do something. It's no different than telling them to sit. So let's talk about peeing in the house, which is usually the bigger offense, because puppies pee all the time. Why do they pee all the time? Because they drink all the time.
Right. But what's available to them all the time?
Water. Imagine that. So, again, I want to tell you not to deny your puppies access to water. They need a lot of water. However, don't give them free access to water, because they will drink and drink and drink and drink and drink until what? And then they're just peeing all day long. So I feed after play. I feed after, give them water after play, give them water after meals, and then immediately take them outside. I don't just sit there and let them gorge themselves. They're taking in water. Their stomach's like only this big around. So they've had food, and they can only take in so much water. So I regulate their water.
Good job. Do you want to...
How would I handle something like
the aggressive... the Chihuahua?
Yeah, so aggressive rehab is not something that I can like completely go into. It's a big process. Every dog's different. The minimum a dog has to be with me for training for aggression is 3 days, the minimum.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Thank you. 3 weeks minimum. Some dogs, aggressive dogs, with me 5 or 6 weeks. It's a process. It's depending on their people aggressive, dog aggressive, both. I think she said a little both, mostly other animals.
And farm animals.
And farm animals. Probably anything that moves.
Probably.
Anything that moves
Right.
has to go catch it. So
Maybe send you a PM or something.
yeah,
and
send me a
talk-
message on that. I can point you to my programs. It's pretty it's a pretty complicated process. It's not something I can just say this is how you do it.
Do you want to answer? This
Sure.
is the last question. What do you do with a dog that knows all of their commands but won't listen well in a new setting, such as someone else's house?
Okay.
That's a good question.
Another good question, something I get that all the time. So your dog understands commands, but doesn't know how to ignore distractions. That's the thing, your dog doesn't have impulse control. So you have to get the dog around the distractions to practice, okay? First of all, I want to make sure your dog understands that the focus is on you. The dog has to understand leash communication. Dog has to understand when you pull that leash, it means owner has something to tell you. Like you feel leash pressure, I should look at owner. There's several videos I have on YouTube on how to teach dogs to focus. And you use leash pressure and food. If you watch any of my videos, you'll see even the dogs that aren't mine, after a couple of days, are all looking at me. We teach that right in the beginning. I pull the leash, you look at me, I reward. So make sure your dog understands when there's a leash pressure, I should focus on you. What your dog is lacking is impulse control. So your dog understands sit, but it doesn't understand sit in the context of something that's better. Like, chasing the cat's better than this. For my neighbor to check out my neighbor's house is better than sitting. I mean, sitting's kind of boring. So you can look at sitting as a circus trick. That's what I call them, circus tricks. So you're teaching your dog all these circus tricks that it does in this environment. Teaching impulse control is taking a dog out and saying, hey, if you react toward whatever it is, the way I don't want you to react, there's a consequence. So once the dog understands communication to that leash, you can instantly deliver that consequence. So the dog says, oh, I'm going this way. No. Oh, wait, you don't want me to do that. I should come over here.
Right.
So you have to teach your dog impulse control. So you can have the most obedient dog in the world in your house. Like if you give me a dog, got about 10 minutes. If you give me a dog that's really bad, really not focused, high drive, like super serious, like anxiety dog or driven dog. If you let me control that dog's food, the dog's environment, I can, on camera, I can make that super bad dog look amazing in about 3 days in that environment. With no distractions. So as soon as you add that distraction in the room, all bets are off.
Right.
So you start out training like you did in your house, and then you start adding distractions. And when the dog goes for whatever, leash correction, or if you're using correction, no.
So even in the friend's house, the communicator, the leash still needs to be on so that you can tell your dog that's not acceptable. That's not how we behave here. You have manners here, just like, and then once you correct with the leash at the friend's house, they understand, oh, wait, I have to behave here too.
Right. Just like kids.
Just like kids.
You know, I can promise you if your kids are not good at your house and tear up your stuff, they will not do it at my house.
Right.
They won't. My house has rules. So if your dog comes to my house, the same thing. Your dog is not going to do that because I have rules.
And they understand.
Yeah, and they understand, and they don't dislike me.
Right.
Super good point. Super good point. I want to say one more thing about that. So if you notice, when we finish training our own, and
we'll let you know, Xandra.
And conquer that, Xandra. Yeah,
I train more dogs than kids.
Yeah, train more dogs than kids, and had more success. Yep.
We're not too bad.
They're not too bad. They're not too great.
They're good kids.
So if you notice, like in my videos, all the dogs are on place. Like they understand that of what that means.
Right.
Like I put it down. It's a circus trick. Okay. When people come for their go homes, I put the place cot down. I walk in. The dogs look at their owner. They look at place, they get on place. And then they start going crazy for their owner, and then I calm them down. But they do what we've been trained to do every time we've walked in that room for as long as they've been with me. So that trick works at people's houses too. I just got a text email from a client whose dog was there a couple weeks ago, same problem. The dog's acting crazy at my mom's house. And she didn't ask me what to do. She just went and got a towel, put it on the ground, put the leash on the dog, and told the dog to place. So if you teach place at your house and something that the dog understands, like I have these boundaries and I know how to operate within them, if you take that to someone else's house and kind of transfer that ownership from one house to the other, it makes it easier for the dog to transition. Just like kennel training a dog makes it easier to take the dog places with you or move. The dog understands what that means.
Yeah.
So
It is transferable.
it is transferable. So that's a good tip too. If you're using place or something like that, if you train the dog on that, if you take that thing anywhere out in the front yard, at somebody else's house, instantly the dog understands, oh, I know what this means, and it makes your life easier. That's my point. It makes the dog is like, man, but it makes your life easier because you can enjoy the company at somebody else's house, and you usually only have to correct a couple of times.
Yeah. So I think that's all we have for tonight.
I think so. We have a lot more because I can keep talking, but yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in. A lot of
Good, Rachel.
questions.
I hope that helped your question.
Gosh, I hope we can do this next Sunday. That's the plan. Maybe we might do it during the week. I think we're thinking like.
We're thinking not Sundays.
Not saying like maybe Thursdays at
Maybe Thursdays at 8:47.
8:42.
8:42.
8:42.
An odd number.
I would
Even
say
number.
about 8 o'clock probably. We get worked out and then we get dinner. Then we'll come back here. And,
We'll let you
do it.
know.
Yeah, I'll post it way ahead of time. Love doing these. Just because we finished doesn't mean you can't still ask your questions. Send them to me by private message, email,
Or post on here.
post on here. Go to my website. Have a lot of information on YouTube, a lot of free videos. It's there for you to learn. My simple philosophy is if somebody asks a question, I answer it.
Yep.
All right, guys, so we're going to go eat.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Terry, West Tennessee Canine, and I sure hope this helped.